Hi guys, and welcome back to Leslie Through the Looking Glass. For those of you that are new here, hi, my name is Leslie. For my returning viewers, as always, thank you so much for coming back to support my channel. It really means so very much to me. Alright guys, happy Monday. It's Mental Health Monday. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. For the most part, doing well. We are all settled back in our routine. But it's just been kind of an overwhelming week for me in general. Nothing specific triggering anxiety other than just like stress and chaos. But like no specific instance. But our furnace is all in functioning. So that is a relief. That the guy had to come back a couple times. There was some misfiring happening and some issues, but that is all done. We are pretty much back to routine. We had a lot of fun this weekend. Saturday was a pretty quiet day. We just did stuff around the house. I did have a mom fail this weekend that didn't help stuff. Last week was just overwhelming with work. Like our work days, we had a lot of bad cases, hard cases last week, which is something I think I'm going to talk about in a different video. I don't want to get super into it now, and I don't know that it's something people want to hear or not, to be quite honest. But just about how work can affect your mental health, because I do work, for those of you that don't know, I do work in veterinarian medicine, and it's a really hard field mentally to do. It's one of the highest suicide rates in professionals are among veterinarians and vet med staff. So it's a lot. Some weeks, other weeks it's not as bad, but we had a really rough week. Lots of really hard cases. So that weighed on me a lot and made it very hard to stay like positive at work. But yeah. So Saturday was quiet after work. We just did stuff at home. Sunday, me and my husband, my mom failed. Got real sidetracked here. I thought our neighborhood Easter egg hunt was on Saturday, the 10th, but really the 10th is Sunday. So I had my 3-year-old so excited for when I got home from work. She's gonna take her nap, and we're gonna have an Easter egg hunt in our neighborhood. And then I had to come home and tell her I was wrong, and she was so excited, and she cried, and I felt awful. So I got her Easter eggs down, put some mini marshmallows in them, and her and I did a little miniature Easter egg hunt in the yard to make up for it and practice. So then yesterday, my husband and I did a date day where we went and had lunch. Millie stayed at my parents' house for a little bit. Him and I went and had lunch at a brewery we enjoy in our area, and then tried the new distillery that is like the same people that do the brewery have opened a distillery. So we had a fancy cocktail there and tried some of their spirits, and that was really fun and cool and different, and just gave us a little time for us. And then came home, picked her up and came home and did the Easter egg hunt, and then we grilled out because it was really beautiful yesterday here. And then today's back to gloomy. So go figure. 60 degrees and sunny yesterday. Today it's not that cold. It's probably, I don't know, like 50, but it's gloomy, cloudy. I just want the sunshine. But yeah, so like I said, last week just with getting back on schedule after being disrupted, with staying other places and doing stuff like that. So getting back in routine, getting the house put back together, all the things I talked about last week, kind of getting, like, it's just kind of exhausting to me mentally to get back to that. It's like that big letdown when you're anxious and you have your adrenaline going, and then you kind of crash. So that kind of happened this last week where everything finally was like done and I could relax, and then it like bottomed me out. And then having rough cases at work all week, lots of them, made work really a lot to handle. And then something that I don't talk about a ton because some things I always want to be transparent and open and honest with you guys, but at the same time, certain parts of what I go through are, um, it's not even that they're hard to talk about, but when certain things happen in like a marriage, and fights happen, it's not something I always bring up or talk about. Um, but one of my biggest things with anxiety has always been like I always have to make comments. I comment on everything. Part of that is just me to a degree, but a lot of times they come across really mean spirited. It has been this way for years and years. I did not know this was part of my anxiety until after I went to therapy. And at that point, it wasn't something I could even really work on because I was just trying to get back to a baseline before I could start improving my like character flaws that went hand in hand with anxiety, if you will. Um, so that is something that happened this weekend that I made a comment. I wasn't meaning to come from a bad space, but it was kind of like a breaking point for my husband because I always do this and he gets very defensive about it now because for years I've been this way. But now I'm to a place where I'm really trying to work on it. Because I am in mentally a better place. I'm handling my anxiety a lot better. Most of you know, once you have it, you have it. Like, it's never going to go away fully. It's just about how you manage it and that kind of thing and how much you let it affect you. So I'm managing it really well. I hardly have panic attacks. I have my anxious things, but I usually can push through them and do whatever it needs to be done. And then I just have to work on, how I feel after the fact and like continuing to like monitor those highs and lows. So now I'm trying to work on other things in my life that have been affected by my anxiety and fix those. Right? So it's a lot. And before in the past, when these things would be brought to attention, I wasn't acknowledging them. And I was just being like, that's just me, because I thought it was. I wasn't trying to make excuses. I just thought, sorry guys, my nose is really itchy. I wasn't trying to make excuses or not own up to anything, but to me, that was just part of my personality. Now I'm seeing that there are things that people don't realize are so heavily linked with anxiety. And those things are what I'm now trying to work on because some of that becomes habit over time. So, I'm working on that, but, it's a work in progress and I'm not great at it. I will be the first one to admit that I'm trying, but I'm not the best at it. So, sometimes that causes a fight, which we had on Saturday, and Sunday morning. We then had to like kind of retalk everything out and get to a better place, which we did. But it's really hard to communicate some of the stuff that you have for so long. Just assumed was part of who you are. It's hard to communicate how you're trying to change that and like why it's hard to do and stuff like that. And on the flip side, I'm sure it is so hard for my husband because here he's kind of accepted that this is just one of my personality flaws and loved me through it. And now I'm like, hey, I'm going to work on this and I'm acknowledging it now when before I wasn't. And he's like, how can you just flip like this? So, these things are all works in progresses. And it's hard for both of us. And for a long time we did have to focus on just me. And so I'm really glad I'm to a place that I can focus on us. I mean, it's still fixing me essentially, but on the things that affect our marriage. And for a long time, he was very accepting of the fact that like, I just couldn't do that. I was not in a mental place. I didn't have the mental capacity to deal with anything but like my triggering anxiety that was crippling me at the time. And now I'm rarely crippled by it, and I'm trying to work on the other things that, have been brought to my attention that I talked to with my therapist during therapy. We came up with a game plan for when I got to this point. And yeah, so that is that. So I hope any of this was not just rambling and maybe help somebody see something or realizes that this does affect, relationships and stuff, but you can work to getting to a point where you can like actually start to improve things, and that's where I'm hopefully getting. But it's a lot of hard work, and it takes a long time. I mean, this journey started 2 years ago. And I was in therapy for about a full year. And I still, on occasion, like after we miscarried, after we made the decision to permanently not try for any more children, stuff like that, I would have a session as needed with my therapist. I would call her and set something up if something was going on, which is still always my plan. Her and I came up with a plan together and decided what, might be the best option at this point for me moving forward. And I think I've been managing it really well. It's all just about, dealing with life as it comes to you, though. And I kind of think that one of my next videos, I'm truly going to dive a little bit more into the therapy side and talk about my experience with therapy, how my whole time with that went, how we made the decisions to be where we're at now, stuff like that. Because it is something I've had a couple people ask me about. Talk about how I started finding my therapist, all of those things, because I really think it is such an amazing tool and has such a negative stigma to it. And to be honest, I don't think there's a person out there who couldn't benefit from therapy in some way or another. Obviously not necessarily for anxiety. Even well-adjusted people without mental health crisis issues, I think, can learn a lot about themselves, about how to handle life stress better or communication better or whatever, you might not even realize you could be improving upon. I think it's a really healthy, great tool to have. And I think in their life, everybody could probably benefit from it at some point or another. And since I've had a couple people ask how I found my therapist, and where I started, I thought that might be a good video coming up. So I don't know if I will do that next week or not, but I will be doing that soon. I have, reached out and given people specifics who have asked for them already, but just in case there are other people who might be interested that didn't reach out, I feel like that's a pretty good topic because it's a lot and it can be overwhelming to know where to start and how to figure it out. So all right, guys, that is all I have for today. Like I said, pretty good weekend overall, but some things that were a little bit rough, but we got through them, and now we're off on a great Monday start to the week. I will see you guys next weekend. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next weekend yet. Probably the Winnie the Pooh recap that I was going to do this week. But then I got my Pixie Dust Apothecary order in, so if you haven't seen my video from Saturday, highly recommend it. And if you haven't bought anything from Pixie Dust Apothecary yet and you've been thinking about it, go do it. Their wax melts are amazing. Everything smelled wonderful. They're all on my burners already. So go check that video out. Winnie the Pooh recap will be coming. Disney Princess recap will be coming. I have a box swap at the beginning of next month. Hopefully I'm going to work on my Lego castle soon, and I was going to show a little bit of that and update when I finish that. I'm hopefully going to be finishing my wall here soon. Putting up my backpacks. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're having a great Monday. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Let's get a good positive attitude and take on the week. Bye, guys. See you next time.